All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we go over some of the great draft prospects that were in the Notre Dame Penn State playoff game, college football playoff game in advance of the NFL draft. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell Damon and Mary I said hello, and get some brisket chili, and enjoy Pig and a Pickle. This video is also brought to you by our good friends at Better. And this video is sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get that first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered into a drawing to win a signed Ricky Pearsall number 14 red 49er jersey. We'll announce the winner of the Pearsall jersey on Super Bowl Sunday during our postgame show. All right, let's talk a little bit about Penn State Notre Dame. What a game. What a game that was last night. Notre Dame beat Penn State despite the fact that Notre Dame was playing without Riley Mills, without two of their offensive linemen, with about 3 or 4 key defenders out. The entire team was sick, and still they found a way to beat Penn State and advance on to the national championship game where they will take on the winner of Texas and Ohio State. Let's talk a little bit about 7 draft-eligible players that were in this game last night on both sides of the ball. First, we're going to start with one of my personal favorites. I love Riley Leonard, the Duke transfer, the quarterback from Notre Dame, who doesn't have a huge arm, but he's really athletic. He's 6'4", he's 220 pounds. There's all kinds of room for improvement. Like if you watch this kid, what he has, you can't teach. He has moxie, and he's calm under pressure. And he's competitive as hell. And some of the traits that he has, you can't coach. You either have that or you don't. He's 6'4", 220, and he's got this calm about him. Now, what does he need to work on? His footwork, his lower body mechanics, they're all over the place. He's right now, he's not nearly as good a thrower of the football as eventually I think he's going to be. He doesn't have a big arm. He doesn't have a huge arm. He throws with great touch. He knows where to go with the ball, but he doesn't have a tremendous amount of zip. Some people feel like he doesn't have an NFL caliber arm. To me, there's no doubt he's a day 3 draft choice because of the lack of NFL arm strength. But I really like him because you're talking about, 6'4", 220, stays poised, plays with a lot of calm, throws the ball accurately in the short and intermediate. And the guy's played well enough to get Notre Dame into the national championship game. So for all the flaws Riley Leonard has, and he doesn't have the biggest arm. I saw Cowherd compared him to Josh Allen today. He's not Josh Allen. Josh Allen? What? Josh Allen has the biggest arm. And this guy doesn't have the biggest arm. But he's mobile. He's got good size. He's got moxie. He's got calm. He's got poise. There's a little magic to Riley Leonard. So, I wouldn't take him before the 5th round. And I probably wouldn't even take him in the 5th round. He's probably more like a 6th round guy for me. But I like him. He's a gamer. He's a competitor. There's just something about that kid, that aw shucks. He's always, he can't do an interview without saying God like 9 times. But you know what? This kid who grew up in Alabama and started at Duke and transferred to Notre Dame, there's some magic about him. And if he can work on his footwork, if he can work on his lower body mechanics, he looks like a guy who has average to below average arm strength, but like he's not getting the most out of his arm right now because he's not throwing with any consistent footwork or any consistent mechanics. He doesn't consistently step into his throws, but he makes big throws. He makes big plays. Now, he did turn it over a couple times, and it wasn't his best performance against Penn State. That was probably the best defense he went against this year. But Riley Leonard is playing well, and he's got Notre Dame in the national championship game. So Riley Leonard is on my list. Definitely, as I said, I don't want him in the first 5 rounds, but if he's there late day 3, I would use a draft pick on Riley Leonard and bring him to camp as my third string quarterback. Another guy for Notre Dame I really like. Notre Dame's got a tremendous secondary. They're just so well coached. They got a kid named Benjamin Morrison who's going to be, a top 15 first-round draft choice. Adon Schuler, eventually, he's a freshman. He's going to be a superstar. He's in that secondary. But Ryan Clark's son, Jordan Clark, has caught my eye as well. Good football player. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Started off at ASU, transferred to Notre Dame. I don't have his exact 40 time in front of me or even an estimated, but to me, he looks like a 4.47 40, 4.48, something like that. High 4.4s. He's not a burner per se, but he's not slow-footed. I think this is an NFL starting caliber corner at the next level. He has work to do. He's got some really good skills. His physical traits are good, but they're not exceptional. But I think Jordan Clark's going to have a 10-year NFL career at corner. I think he's going to be really, really solid. He might be more of a zone corner than a man corner, but Jordan Clark's going to play in the NFL, and he's probably going to go, my guess is also, late day 3, round 5, 6, 7. And at that point, that's a great draft choice. If you can get Jordan Clark in the 5th or 6th round, 7th round, or undrafted, man, you got something, because this kid's going to play in the NFL for a while. Another guy from Notre Dame I really love is Mitchell Evans, the tight end, the 6'5", 255-pound tight end. This guy's just got great ball skills. I mean, he's a terrific receiver. He's going to catch the ball. He's got natural hands, and he'll catch it in a crowd. He'll catch it in traffic. He'll catch it in a sea of hands. You always want the difference between a tight end who can, it's like, there's a lot of guys who are 6'5", 260. There's a lot of guys who are 6'5", 255 and this athletic. But then when you start throwing them passes, do they catch it? And if you catch one of every 4 passes, you're not that great. Mitchell Evans has got big time mitts. This guy's going to catch the ball in a crowd. He kind of reminds me of a little bit bigger version of Jay Novacek, the former Dallas Cowboy tight end, who was kind of linear, very good receiver, not a strong inline blocker, but a really dependable receiver. I see a little bit of Brent Jones in Mitchell Evans, He's a little bit bigger. Brent Jones is like 6'4", 225. This guy's more like 6'5", 255, so he's a little bit bigger body. But I see a lot of Brent Jones. He doesn't look like a great athlete on the hoof, but when you watch him run routes, you're like, hey, this guy can run. You watch him catch the ball, you're like, hey, this guy can catch. So I think Mitchell Evans is going to be a very productive tight end for somebody at the next level. And I think you're going to probably get him. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's there in the 4th or 5th round. And if you get Mitchell Evans in the 5th round, I mean, that's a steal. That's a really good receiving tight end in the 5th round of the draft. So to me, he is exciting, really exciting, because I think there's Pro Bowl potential there, and yet I do think he's going to wind up going in the 4th or 5th round. And if you can draft a Pro Bowl tight end in the 4th or 5th round, you really got something. And Mitchell Evans is he made a couple of catches this month that are just spectacular. I mean, usually if you can, put a hand in there, disrupt the tight end's view of the ball, a lot of those guys are going to drop the ball. He doesn't. I mean, he has got great hands. Really, really great hands. Okay, so those 3 guys are more kind of day 3 guys. Maybe Evans sneaks into the back end of day 3 if somebody wants him, or day 2 if somebody wants him at the end of the 3rd round. I think he's probably more of a 4th or 5th round pick. All right, let's talk about some guys who are going to go a little higher. Kaytron Allen, the second running back for Penn State, 5'11", 220. I love Kaytron Allen. He never fumbles. I don't think he's fumbled once his entire career. He's got really good contact balance, pretty average speed, but good size. 5'11", 220 pounds. He's from Norfolk, Virginia. He went to the IMG Academy. He had 400-yard days this year. He had 124 yards against Oregon. He had 134 against Boise State in the playoff. 7.9 a carry in that game against Boise State. I just think Kaytron Allen has been overshadowed by Nick Singleton, and a lot of people don't think of Kaytron Allen when they think of really good NFL caliber running backs. I think he's a day 3 pick. I think he's a 5th round pick. As I said, he's more of a high 4.5s, low 4.6s guy. But you're talking about a 220-pound back who's never fumbled, has played in a really good system, has very good contact balance, and is very productive. This guy's really, really productive football player. So Kaytron Allen, very solid back. If you're looking for a back and you're in those mid rounds and you're like, hey, who do we want? Who can we get? Kaytron Allen's not a bad option. He can catch it. He doesn't fumble. He's got good balance. He's had production. He's done it in big moments at the highest level. He runs behind his pads. I think there's good durability there. I like him. I like him a lot. Kaytron Allen, as I said, and probably also going to be a day 3 pick, probably round 5. All right, let's get into the 3 guys that from last night's game that are not going on day 2 or day 3. Or I should say not going on day 3. They could go on day 2. Most of these guys are probably going to go day 1, to be honest. And let's start with Abdul Carter. He is going on day 1. He's probably a top 5 pick. He's 6'3", 260, but he looks like he's about 230 pounds. He's a defensive end in a 4-3. He's an outside backer in a 3-4. I think he's scheme versatile. He wears number 11. This guy, looks natural as an off-the-ball linebacker, but he's a defensive end. He's a defensive end. He's an all-pro defensive end prospect. He's going to go anywhere between 5 and 10. It's all based on, or he could go between, 1 and 10. He could go first overall. Abdul Carter is a premier pass rusher. You think of all the guys at Penn State through the years that have worn 11. I believe Parsons wore 11. I think LeVar Arrington wore 11. They give 11 to like special players, and this guy's really special. He's athletic enough to play in off the ball linebacker spot. He's powerful enough and good enough off the edge and strong enough to play a defensive end spot. The motor runs all the time. He's got crazy strength, really, really great first step, great change of direction. I mean, Abdul Carter's a blue chipper. He's going to be an all-pro defensive end in the NFL. So, and as I said, he's probably not going to be there for the Niners when they pick at 11. If they want him, they're going to have to trade up. But Abdul Carter is going to be a great, great player in the NFL for a long, long time. So, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know if you've watched this guy. This guy's really special. Another guy who's going, I think, on day 1, and could go potentially on day 2, is Nick Singleton, the number 1 running back for Penn State. 6 feet, 230 pounds. Had 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame last night. Just a raw talent. He's got elite vision. He's got great speed. I mean, for 230 pounds, this guy can really break away and run away from you. You don't see that many breakaway threats who are 230 pounds. He can block. He was a 5-star recruit in high school, one of the most prized recruits coming out of Governor Mifflin High School in Pennsylvania there. He was a 4-year high school starter. He's a superstar talent. He really is. He's a 230-pound back who really has, the ability to be a game breaker. I mean, you don't see that many guys who are 230 who run like Singleton. He runs incredibly well. His hands, he dropped a ball outside, that was down by his knees on the goal line yesterday, but normally he has great hands. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He'll run over you. He can run by you. He'll block. He's good in short yardage. He runs with good body lean. I mean, he's a blue chipper. There's a lot to like about Nick Singleton. He's not my favorite back in the draft, but he is a damn good back. I would say he's going to be a starting NFL caliber running back and a very good one at that. And then the last guy on my list, how could I not have Tyler Warren, big number 44, the Penn State tight end on my list. I'm a huge Mitchell Evans fan, and yet he was clearly the number 2 tight end in this game. Tyler Warren, 6'6", he's 260, got a huge catch radius, very athletic. They've lined him up at Wildcat quarterback. He was a 3-star high school recruit. Just kind of a West Coast offensive tight end who's going to be able to do everything. There's nothing he can't do. He can block on the line of scrimmage. He can find guys on the second level. He's got big run after the catch ability. If you say what really separates him, to me, there's 2 things. He's got a big catch radius, and he's got a huge run after the catch ability. I mean, for 6'6", 260, you just don't see that. There was a play in this game where they lined him up last night as a Wildcat quarterback, and the play blew up in the backfield, and he still beat everybody to the edge and almost ran for 10 yards and a first down. So 6'6", 260, you can't miss this guy on film. He's got long hair. He wears number 44. Huge catch radius, strong inline blocker, really dangerous receiver, great in the red zone. If you say, give me somebody that Tyler Warren, he's Gronk. He's Gronk. Do you like Gronk? If you like Gronk, you're going to like Tyler Warren. He's Gronk. He's 6'6", he's 260, he's a blocker, he's got great hands, he runs well after the catch. You throw it high, he catches it. You throw it off the ground, he catches it. I mean, he's Gronk. 6'6", 260 Gronk. Gronk may have been a tad faster. This guy's maybe a tad stronger. This guy might be a little bit more of a dominating inline blocker, where Gronk was a little bit better receiver, maybe natural receiver. But, man, very similar. 6'6", 260, first-round draft choice, probably going to go between 15 and 32. Second half of round 1. This would be a guy that if the Niners were at 11, you wouldn't take him at 11. But, man, if you could trade back into the mid-20s or the late teens, trade back from 11 to 18 or 11 to 22, I think you could start your draft with Tyler Warren, and I think it would be a great way to start the draft. I mean, he's really powerful. He's really explosive. Him and Kittle, man, you could run 12 personnel with the 2 tight ends and just have a dominant combo there for the next 4 or 5 years. So I really love Tyler Warren. So there you go. Those are the 7 players that I wanted to highlight from last night's Notre Dame Penn State game. Tyler Warren, Nick Singleton, Kaytron Allen, Abdul Carter, Mitchell Evans, Jordan Clark, and Riley Leonard. Now, there are more than that on those 2 teams, but those are the ones that stood out last night to me, and those are the guys that I'll be looking for heading into this year's 2025 NFL Draft. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show and sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.